Hi, everyone. Welcome to SEEN, the Spiritual and Extraterrestrial Experiencers Network. My name is Donna M. Atwood, and I'm the founder of SEEN. And before we get into today's topic, I just wanted to thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I really do appreciate it. I certainly know that there's plenty of other places you could be, so thanks for hanging out. So today we're going to discuss metaphor, mechanism, and the language that we use to describe our anomalous experiences. And when people have experiences that feel unusual, expansive, or deeply meaningful, language often struggles to kind of keep up with what we're trying to say. Words like energy, fields, or resonance appear because they gesture towards something that we feel, but we cannot measure it, or we were not able to measure it at the time of the experience. And this is not a failure of somebody's intelligence or their ability to reason. It's actually a feature of human communication. And in established science, resonance, the word resonance, has a clear meaning. It describes how systems influence one another through both rhythm and timing. We see this in sound, in biology, and in the nervous system. And resonance helps explain why certain interactions feel stabilizing while others feel disruptive. The phrase morphogenic field, on the other hand, it comes from a more speculative tradition, I guess you would say. It's a conceptual model that some people use to talk about pattern formation in living systems, how forms and behaviors seem to repeat over time. It's important to mention that it's not been it's not confirmed. It's not a physical field that's been confirmed by science, nor is it required to explain our perceptions and experiences. So where people often run into difficulty is when metaphor and mechanism become blurred. Metaphors are powerful. As somebody who reads a fair amount, and I've certainly done my share of writing. I've written quite a bit of science fiction. Metaphors are powerful. I mean, think of one like as big as a house or couch potato, right? So they can become pretty powerful, actually. Excuse me, in our language. And they do allow people to communicate coherence, connection, and pattern when a direct measurement is not available. So like the mass of something or the the actual size of something, its geometric configuration and its size and mass. Let's just say, for example, like a UFO or a UAP. But metaphors become destabilizing when they are treated as literal explanations or elevated into claims about how reality actually really works. And at SEEN, we pay close attention to this distinction. Our focus is not on determining which interpretation is correct, but we try to help them to remain grounded while they explore the meaning of something that they've been through. So language, when we use it this way, it's actually a bridge, not a conclusion. So to say that a UFO was as big as a house is an example. We would encourage an experiencer to say, roughly, how wide do you think it was? How far away do you think it was? How tall was it? What was its shape, its geometric configuration? Did you see any non-human intelligences with it? Those kinds of things. How long was the experience roughly? Did you lose time? And if so, do you know from what time to then what time that you lost time? These kinds of things. So the thing is when it comes to having these anomalous experiences, and believe me, they can be spiritual, they could be kind of more paranormal, supernatural. They don't have to be, and they certainly aren't just UFO related or ET related. But whatever the experience is, whether somebody has seen a ghost or had oh gosh, some other sort of paranormal activity, you don't have to. It's important for experiencers, I should say, to try not to adopt any single explanation for whatever the experience was to be valid, because it's valid. It's just valid on its own. It's enough to describe, what you've seen, what you've noticed, what you heard, if you heard anything, the amount of time, anything at all like that is absolutely, it's helpful, it's valid. To try to add meaning to an experience is actually, I have found it to be counterproductive. And because frankly, I'll just be honest with you, when I and other people I've spoken to, not everybody, but almost everybody, when they tried to add meaning to the experience early on, they were almost always wrong. And I do mean the vast majority were typically way off base. So it's better to just, we do encourage it, seem to just let the experience sort of marinate. Just let it kind of sit there, allow yourself to just sort of sit with it for a while. And, it's important to, if you're able to, as much as possible, be in the here and now, and you can try to convey what, to the best of your ability, what took place, whatever anomalous experience it was that took place, whether it was last week or 4 decades ago or longer, and what this does is it orients the experiencer both in the here and now while remembering something that occurred. And it's better overall for a person's well-being. And then if we allow understanding to occur over time, again, I can't possibly overemphasize this. I would say at least 9 times out of 10. The experiencers who do that, which is the exact opposite of what I did. So I really am speaking from not only being an experiencer, but my experience with this, is you will get it right. You will eventually, over time, most likely come to some understanding of, what occurred, why it occurred, perhaps who it occurred with, if it was a being, potentially who it was, those types of things. So, and the other thing that I would like to mention is being clear that you're not clear it's not an absence of wonder. These are wondrous things, whether you're talking about a poltergeist or seeing a shadow person or, seeing dancing lights in the sky or whatever it is, or perhaps seeing an angel sort of fade in and fade out or an extraterrestrial. These are wondrous. They are amazingly amazing events to live through. And being clear that you're not exactly clear about the why of it or the who and the why or anything else for that matter is just normal. We can kind of think of being clear that we're not clear in a way as a container. Okay, it does hold that wonder, the clarity that we know we're not quite yet understanding. Think of it as a container for your wonder, and that's okay. You can hold it safely. Eventually over time, all the ingredients of what took place will will mix together, and you will start to understand really why it occurred, and maybe who was behind it and what was the reasoning for it. So um, and before we sign off today, I also wanted to mention that how important it is uh, for an experiencer who's somebody who's gone through something so anomalous and so amazing. It's important, to the best of your ability, to please take good care of yourself. And sometimes, and I speak from experience on this. I really do. Um, Sometimes when we are around very strong, um, magnetic fields, certain energetic fields, let's just say, let me just be less, let's just say energy, certain energetic fields. I personally experienced that um, was very difficult. I actually even kind of felt a little off kilter physically, almost as if my balance was slightly off. Um, so, if you've had an encounter, and if you had some sort of close encounter, and you had it for a, a long period of time. So, my close encounter with what I now understand to be electrified plasma was a 50-minute encounter. So it was nearly an hour. And that had a profound impact on my nervous system. And that's just my experience. And I'm sharing that with you because what I found is that I needed to take better care of myself. I actually had to slow down. I found that I had to minimize driving because I tended to want to lean to, I forgot if it was the left or the right, but I was trying to lean towards one side of the road while I was driving. And I just stopped driving for a few days. And it's just important, as best as you're able to please, eat as healthy as possible. And if you're able to, if it's not too hot or too cold out, to spend some time outdoors in the sunshine. And if it's okay with your doctor, to please get a little bit of exercise, or if you're able to exercise, like at the gym or whatever, that's great. And one of the more important things too is to spend time with people that you really vibe with. And if I may add, I think this next part is super important. Please do notice who you are vibing with after your experience. Notice who you feel that you are safe to share your experience with. Even if you hold on to that experience for a little while, let's say you decide not to tell anybody for 2 weeks or a month or a week or whatever it is, or a couple days, whatever it is. It could be longer, it could be much longer, it could be years, sometimes decades. But please do pay attention to that. And I say that because, once again, many of the experiencers that I've spoken with have told me that they weren't always surprised, per se, who they felt they could not share their experiences with. But I think they were surprised at the ultimate outcome of how much they changed, and for the better, actually, and how this impacted their relationships and their lives. I've spoken with a number of experiencers who changed professions, or marriages broke up, or they moved to an entirely different country, or moved across the country. Just very dramatic but very positive changes took place in these experiencers' lives. So just these are very important things to pay attention to. In fact, I would, as your friend, I would caution you or advise you. I'm just speaking to you like a sister now, to please pay more attention to those things, if you're able to, as opposed to trying to identify and give meaning to the exact experience, because that typically takes a lot of time. I mean, at the bare minimum, weeks, often it's years. So, yeah, just taking really good care of yourself will help make, um, sort of growing and transitioning through this whole process much easier on you and those who are around you as well. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, thank you again so much for spending this time with me. Again, my name is Donna M. Atwood, and I am the founder of SEEN, the Spiritual and Extraterrestrial Experiencers Network. Thank you so much and take care. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.